Hello, everyone. I'm here with Daniel Davy. Hello, Daniel.
Hi.
So we've had a pretty good chat about this longbow right here. And we said maybe we should record all this.
Yep.
Maybe put it on the record.
Let's do it. Let's get it out there.
So Daniel is a co-founder and co-CEO, from what I understand, for the Longbow company. If you don't know about them, they're launching a Speedster this year. And this is a very interesting car. We'll be talking a little bit about it. We're going to go around it. And I hope you can help me understand how can you make such a beautiful car under a ton with the specs that are rivaling the Porsches and Ferraris of the world.
A different approach, right? So if you want a different kind of car, you need a different approach, you need a different kind of company. So the thing that can help very large companies be successful is the very thing that stops them innovating. Because every time they build a car, they follow the same process. Okay. And you can't expect to follow the same process and have different results. So we built this car from a sketch to a driving car, custom chassis, custom battery modules in 6 months.
You're talking from experience.
Yeah.
It's not your first rodeo.
No, I was at Tesla 2010. So I was early in the Tesla Roadster program.
Okay.
I was the first employee at Lucid Motors outside of North America. I launched the European market.
Okay.
My co-founder Mark launched BYD in Saudi Arabia. So we've been around the block.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about this car. What are you trying to achieve with it? Because it looks like a Speedster, but you don't expect me to be driving one of these on city streets, yeah?
Yeah. So really, for us, our ethos is about lightweighting and featherweighting. So this is the first featherweight electric vehicle. So that's a car that weighs under a ton, and you have over 300 horsepower. So really, the entire industry is becoming heavier. Heavier means more materials. More materials means more weight, more cost. We want to go the opposite way. So a true sports car should be lightweight. And the beauty is just the development that's happened in the automotive industry on the EV supply chain in the last 15 years, since Tesla entered the market with the Roadster, means we don't need to develop any new technologies. We don't need to develop new motors, new inverters.
Sure, because from what I'm seeing here, this is a brand new car. This is a different technology from what I've seen in a Tesla. So if you go on to the side, I've been looking at the wheels. So you've been working for Tesla, Lucid, you told me about BYD and all that. They don't have this. They're looking at it, but they don't actually use it. So what's different? What am I looking at?
So this particular model of the Speedster is our high-performance, kind of high-end version. So this car has 4 hub motors. It has a total horsepower of 900 horsepower, and it's 900 kilograms. So it's a 1-for-1 horsepower per kilogram. So this is our 11 model.
Is there anything like it in the world?
No. Well, they're hypercars, but they are 10 times the price. So, this is a starting price of the Speedster is £85,000. And it has a better power-to-weight ratio than a Rimac Nevera. So you're taking sports car or hypercar power-to-weight ratios and putting it into sports cars. So which is how they've always been. The British car companies cater them. They have super, high power-to-weight ratios because the cars are so light.
So when I first learned about you, I was mind blown because I was expecting just another EV. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be expensive. It's not all of that, and it's brand new. It's brand new tech. So every wheel has got its own motor.
So on this version, yes. So because this is the top end,
okay,
to hit that really, think of this almost as kind of like our supercar version of the Speedster.
Okay.
Yeah. So each wheel has its own independent motor.
So motors in every wheel in the front and the back.
Correct. Yeah.
So nothing.
There's no correct. Yeah. So your batteries run in like an H through the tunnel, and then you have your motors on the outside.
So what am I'm looking at?
So that is the structural member. So that's effectively a spine that runs through the middle of the car, and we package batteries in there. So when you want to hit your weight distribution, which is 55-45, that allows us to perfectly balance the car.
Wow. So it's something like cell to body.
It's cell to chassis. Yeah.
Cell to chassis.
Yeah. So your chassis is your battery box, and then your cells then kind of float inside your battery box, so they're not stress member, and that means you've got no adhesives, you've got no weight. So actually the watt hours per kilogram of this pack is better than most manufacturers, large scale manufacturers.
What are you communicating? Because from what I'm hearing at the donut guys in the back, they're talking about 400 watts per kilogram.
Yeah, look, the solid state batteries that Donut have announced are incredible, and we look forward to those in future models. This car is using off the shelf fully available 2170 cells today. Yeah.
Under a ton with off-the-shelf technology.
Correct. Yeah, the whole car is off-the-shelf technology. So it's really, look, there are such great off-the-shelf technologies, and there's such an arms race now between suppliers who are constantly beating each other. The most important thing as a manufacturer is that you have a flexible platform that you can actually integrate different technologies as they evolve. So this car can do hub motors, but it can do central drive motors as well. You know, we can do 2170 cells, but we could integrate solid state pouch batteries, prismatic cells in the car. So we are almost supplier agnostic. And the most important thing is how we pull all that together to give a real driving or sports car experience in the car. Yeah, that's the role for a car manufacturer.
So again, let me get this straight. You're offering Porsche and Ferrari and Rimac's performance levels at below 100,000 euro price.
Yeah, so this one would be higher because this is like the top end. But yeah, even the base cars will have 300 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. So even the base cars are comparable with a GT3 RS or yeah. So exactly right.
But all that power in a very light car is going to be very, very nice, very fun to drive.
That's the idea. So this is a on-road performance car. So when you've got your center of inertia and you've got all your weight in the base, you've got a low weight car, you've got all that torque and all that control. There's no one's built a car like this. There has never been a car like this at that price point. So it's going to be unique. Yeah.
I'm looking at the market today, and most of the cars that are being put on the market are at least twice as heavy as this one. What's the difference? Why is the market going so heavy? Because heavy cars have small ranges, very short ranges. And people are saying, I'm not going to buy an EV because I cannot go a long time. So where is the industry going in the wrong direction? Why are the EVs so heavy these days?
I mean, I think car companies are giving people things they haven't asked for, So
really,
if you have an automatic opening door, you're adding weight, you're adding cost, right?
Okay.
If you have automatic seats that are going forward, you're adding weight, you're adding cost. If you've got a 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds instead of 3.5, you're adding weight, you're adding cost.
And what is that weight coming in? Help me understand for my audience.
So if you, we pick 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds because then we need a 300 horsepower motor. If we want to do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, we need a 500 horsepower motor.
Okay.
And you've got a 500 horsepower motor, it's bigger, it's heavier. You need bigger batteries, you need more batteries, you need bigger inverters. So when you're adding more power, which you don't need, I mean, 2.5, I'm sure have you driven, it's great as a gimmick, but you don't want to drive that every day.
Even 3.7,
yeah,
it's too much for a daily driver.
Exactly.
Even for a fun drive.
Exactly. So it's almost like, so we say that we focus on beauty, authenticity, and connectedness, not stats. But I think car manufacturers are chasing stats. Because one car manufacturer say my car does 0 to 60 in 2.5, and they'll tell consumers, well, you need to do it in 2.3. But the reality is you don't. So it's the same thing when you say, oh, your car needs to charge in 20 minutes, or it needs to charge in 10 minutes, or it needs to charge in 5. It doesn't. You're kind of telling customers they want these features. The features add weight, complexity, and cost. They don't deliver a better driving experience.
Right. That's very interesting. So you're actually talking about a sweet spot.
Yeah.
In between technology and cost.
Yeah.
So where's the sweet spot for 2026 going forward? If you were a car manufacturer, you've been in those meetings. You've been telling me. So again, Tesla, Lucid, all that. How should I actually evaluate this?
It all starts with the customer, right? All these companies are generally B2C businesses. So what you should be asking is, what does my customer want? What does my customer need? Not what do I want to sell them to make more money. So if you flip the way you're evaluating that, that's why companies like Slate, have you seen Slate? Why they've been so successful? Because they're saying, do my customers need electric windows and pay an extra $2,000? Or do you want manual windows? And the customers will get manual windows because, people are not doing well. We're not in a boom period. So
do you want a window seat, or would you like just a regular plain seat?
And if you take out that window motor, you saved 5 kilograms, right?
Wow.
And you save cost. And then if 5 kilograms of smaller battery gets you further, right? And there's less to break. So I think a car manufacturer very focused on how they can extract more money from consumers, selling them things and debts that they can't repay for features that they don't want. What car manufacturers should be doing is saying, if I build this car and this kind of product, which is going against the grain of the industry, like Slate have done, like we're doing, do customers want it? And resoundingly, our customers love exactly what we're doing, and Slate as well have really taken off. So,
Are you taking pre-orders for your?
yeah, we're already sold out till 2028. So we've offered in 6 months with 3 press releases, we sold out our production till 2028.
It's not going to be that many cars, isn't it? How many are you planning on putting out?
So this is really limited production. So the Speedster is like us launching the car company with a beautiful Speedster or Barchetta. There'll be 150 of these, and then we move into the Roadster, which is it has a roof, which is important in Europe and most places. And then that's series production, and that starts at £65,000.
Okay. When you'll expand with that, how many orders will you be able to take from that?
So we're actually limiting Roadster reservations to 1,000. So we saw at Lucid and a whole number of other companies. Often when people launch a brand, they're trying to get 30,000 reservations or 20,000 reservations. Well, what happens then is you don't have any connection with your customers. So we don't want more than 1,000 reservations so we can know our customers. And so, one of our advisors is Michael van der Sande. He launched Renault Alpine, and Renault Alpine had a 90% conversion from reservations to orders, whereas a lot of companies may have a 10%. So, we'll be limiting our reservations, but we won't be limiting our production. So we're looking at, getting up to 5,000 cars a year by 2030 of the Roadster. Yeah.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're talking about features that I don't actually need, that make the car heavier, more expensive, less range, less fun to drive.
Yeah.
Going forward, what technologies are you actually looking at for the car industry? You're actually sold out. You can speak freely. Yeah?
No, I think if you look at electrification, there have almost been a number of evolutions. Let's say you start with the Think, those early electric cars. You then have the Tesla Roadster. Let's say where we are today is kind of Model Y, software-defined vehicle. A lot of the Chinese manufacturers are bringing this in today. I think the next leap, aside from autonomy, I think the next leap in electric vehicles is going to be miniaturization, weight reduction, and cost reduction. Because all electric vehicle technologies are getting smaller, they're getting lighter, and they're getting cheaper. There are motors now, in-wheel motors, that weigh 20 kilograms.
Yeah, I've seen one over there.
Yeah, but there's others that weigh 20 kilograms and they do 1,000 horsepower, right? So that means...
Again, specs, you can deliver any kind of specs.
Exactly. So you're, and the cost of batteries, the weight of batteries is going down. So if you follow that to the nth degree, electric motors will be tiny, batteries will be small. So what do you do in the car, right? Do you make it more expensive and have more margin, or do you reduce the cost and the weight? So I think that naturally the technology drives you to lighter cars. It drives you to cheaper cars. It drives you to more interesting ways of delivering that cabin experience.
Okay, so motors, batteries, miniaturization. Yeah. You're not talking about autonomous driving, robo-cars, robo-taxis. One company over there is selling personal robo-cars. Is there a future for personal robo-cars?
Yeah, so if you... I have a view. So I spend time working at Uber as well. So I have a view on mobility.
Okay.
So majority of people, and let's say 60% of people, they have a car to get from A to B.
Yeah.
As cheaply as possible, as reliably as possible. That's the majority of mobility, right? And then maybe you have 30% of people who do that, but they want to show off what they have. So that's almost a luxury element. So I'm getting from A to B, but look at my lovely car, right? I think both of these segments will go autonomous. But I think
both of them.
Sorry?
Both of them?
I think so, yeah. Because when you're autonomous, you win back time. So if your car's driving itself, you get an hour back to be productive, or an hour back to read. So if you think all the time you spend in your car, just getting from A to B is not productive time.
So are you actually telling me that it's the end of the petrol head era?
No, but I think there's 10% maybe of the market that love driving. They love driving for the sake of driving. So,
okay,
then there are people who...
Only 10%?
Whatever the number is. But in my experience, like real pet, not people who say, I've got a Porsche because they want to be seen in a Porsche, but people who have a Porsche because they just love the driving of the Porsche.
Okay.
If it's 10% or if it's 15 or 20, but there's the smaller percentage, that's where we're aimed. So the market will go autonomous, but I think, much like people still ride horses and people engage in other activities, I think there'll be a percentage of the market that will be looking for the opposite of autonomy, right? They'll be wanting to be engaged in the driving experience. And that's what we cater for, right?
I'm not seeing any horses on the streets, Dania.
It's true, yeah. Well, horses are harder, but yeah.
But how many drivers think, actual drivers, we see in 2030 on the streets?
I think 2030, I don't think legislation will change very much. But I think...
You're being realistic.
I mean, if I were to put on my futurist hat, I think getting a driving license without, like a driving license with gears is more difficult than a driving license with automatic.
It is.
I think there'll be a driving license with autonomy and a driving license without autonomy. And I think without autonomy will be harder. If humans are in control, I think the bar will be raised on getting that license, right?
Okay. So
if I look forward, I think there's going to be, okay, well, do you need a driving license if your car's driving you around? Probably not, right? You don't need a driving license in a bus.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So you'll be like an attendant, not necessarily a pilot.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem in cars are people, right? So through that, if you've got a car that is perfectly autonomous, you don't want a human anywhere near it, right? That's like me flying an airplane. Don't put me near it.
You're selling a driver's car.
But I think that's the majority of the market. So, we're not looking to build 1 million of these a year, but 250,000 sports cars are sold a year, right? So, and that's small compared to the $1 trillion automotive industry.
Okay.
But for us, that's where we want to be focused, right? Because we feel the best sports cars that you can build today are electric, but the market hasn't seen it yet, right? So we want to build the best sports car in the world.
I need you to explain this to me in layman's terms, because there's people looking at us, now going, you're crazy. You can't say that. Look at my Porsche GT3.
Yeah. Well, what makes a great sports car for you?
Well, I don't know. You tell me, because I'm driving electric for the past, 6 or 7 years.
So generally, right, let's remove sound specifically and talk about
sound.
But let's talk about, sound. If you're watching a movie, right?
Okay.
A component of watching a movie in the theater is sound.
Of course.
But there's so much more to that, right? That experience and the sound.
Okay.
And if you think about an ICE sports car, so no one's built... Everyone's like, electric cars don't make good sports cars. And no, well, D-segment SUVs don't make good sports cars. That's like saying, a Land Rover Defender can't be a sports car because a Jaguar F-Type is, same company, but they're different products, right? So,
have you seen the BMW X3 M competition packages?
No.
It's a thing. So BMW X3,
M competition.
M competition. So what's the competition for that?
But this is what I'm saying, right? Like, people are selling things to customers that they don't, right? You're buying that.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's a badge.
Yeah.
You get the badge.
So I think a sports car, like, fit is important, and no one's done it yet in an electric car, because when you typically get an electric car, the question is it on? But you can do things, so we will have a manual key, so you go in, you turn the key, and something will happen. Like, if you turn on a V8, it revs. It doesn't have to do that. That's theater that you create. So,
okay,
like, that's why we have a gear shifter. So one bit is when you're driving, you need to be engaged in the driving experience, right? There's not opening the car with your phone and being like, is it on? So you have to create an engaging experience. I think that's important. So from the beginning, we think about how do you experience the car? The next thing is, how does it drive? And nothing drives better, like from a handling perspective, from a power delivery perspective, than an electric vehicle. Because it's an electric reaction, right? There's no delay. So when you accelerate, like, it's instant. And then
I'm trying to understand the people that are looking at inline sixes and V6, V8, and the closest thing to comes into mind is like musical instruments.
Yeah.
How is this a musical instrument? Because the V8 sounds and behaves like something you need to know how to play it.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to play it, you're going to downshift in a bad way. I don't know, you over rev or...
Well, I think actually you actually remove the shifting out, because most cars are manual shifting anyway nowadays, right? It's automatic with paddle, gearbox, so no one's like clutching, right? No one's clutching nowadays. So ignore that. I think for that perspective is much more, You remove all that. You've got a steering wheel and a pedal and the road. And you've got all your torque on tap at 0. And you don't have the same levels of traction control. So this, and you don't have a windscreen. So driving this,
I've seen the helmet.
But think if I get a Porsche GT3 RS, how many driver assistance features do I have to turn off to actually drive the car? And then it's undrivable, right? Because it's not designed to be driven without all the driver assistance features. So
Okay.
you could argue this is more of a driver's car because we don't have driver assistance features. We've got a driver. So we're trying to remove all the computing, all the autonomy, everything from the driver and the car, and trying to deliver a raw. Doing 60 in this will feel like 150 in a Porsche GT3 RS because you don't have a hermetically sealed vault. You don't have a windscreen. This is raw. It is raw, very raw driving experience. Yeah.
Okay. So petrol heads will say that the Porsches are lighter, fun to drive, and also they sit well in the corners.
Yeah.
How can you beat that? The Porsche know-how in suspensions, brakes, aerodynamics, all that.
I mean, just physics, right? So that car weighs 1,500 kilograms.
Okay.
Right? You've got a lot more weight above the line in different areas that you've got to create computer wizardry to fix it. So, heavy cars, a lot of them don't feel as heavy as they are because of a lot of computer trickery around your stability control. So actually, those cars inherently don't drive as well as this because they're heavier. And where you're packaging the weight, so our center of inertia, our center of gravity is much lower and much smaller. So if you think of a ballerina, right?
So the battery and the H puts all the weight down.
All of our weight is between the wheelbase, all of it.
Okay.
So your center of inertia runs down the middle. So yes, you've got batteries packaged, but they're not wide. Right? Even if you have a whole floor battery, it's going out much wider on the outside. By putting the weight in the middle, it's like a ballerina spinning around with your arms in the middle, right? So you've got much faster turning. Even just putting the batteries out wider means that you're not turning as well into the corner. So your weight into the corner all sits between your front and rear axle, and it all sits in tight. So when you go around the corner, the thing just, we're seeing a lot of kind of like oversteer because you're not expecting to be able to have that fast turning zone, right? That's the opportunity.
So it's low, but also centered.
Correct. Yeah. And you need both of those. So most EVs are low but wide.
Yes.
So you're a ballerina with your leg out, but by putting the batteries in the tunnel, by pulling the batteries closer in within the wheels, you're creating a much better dynamic driving experience. Whereas a Porsche, all your weight sits behind the axle, right? So you're not able to get the same, and then you have to do a lot of trickery to make it drive how it should, right? There's a lot of computing that's there. This just naturally, from a physics perspective, it's lighter, you've got a lower center of inertia, and you've got all your torque at 0, which you don't have in a Porsche.
Okay.
So you're not having to put turbos in and complex kind of aspirations to hit all your different torque. You've got 100% torque at 0. So what you have is a lighter car, you've got a car with better inertia, you've got a car that's inherently has much better and smoother power delivery. So when you're driving it, it's like nothing's like really. It's
so in terms of the driving experience, I'm trying to compare, and I'm putting myself in in a petrol head, and I'm trying to make sense of what you're saying, and it goes against everything we know about cars, because petrol cars not only sound fun, but they also feel fun. And you've been telling me they're heavy, there's a lot of trickery involved, there's turbos and all that. But it's something that you learn. It's part of a culture. It's a car culture. Yeah. So what does it actually need to change in order for people to shift this car culture into performance driven, not only, aesthetics, gimmicks, trickery?
I think the most important thing is beauty, right? So if you have a sports car, you want to look back at it and do a double take. So for us, when we focus on the car, actually beauty is almost more important for us than aerodynamics. We'll consider aerodynamics, but if every car is optimized for aerodynamics, they all look the same. So beauty is very important.
Okay.
The second thing is what do you want from your car when you're driving it? So Yes, everything you said is true about an ICE, but all we'll say is drive it, because the way it drives will be so transformational that it's unlike what people have on the other side, right? And that's what we're going to focus on. Is we're going to deliver best-in-class driving experience, a beautiful car with a best-in-class driving experience at a price point that is not ridiculous, and then we're going to have people drive it. And we think that's going to be what really transforms it, because when you're that in tune, when you feel that you're really controlling what the car's doing at that level, it's such a difference from the current way that performance automotive has gone.
Okay. So
Did that answer your question? Sorry.
most of it, because again, I'm trying to address the concerns of the petrolheads underneath in the comment section. But from what I understand, you're actually like, I don't know, like a chef, mixing all the ingredients and trying to make something new and well thought out and interesting and fun. Because now performance is unlimited. You can make cars that accelerate much too hard. They can go whatever distance. You can have flash charge for a 1 megawatt. We have all the technology available to do any kind of car, any kind of form factors. So now the secret, from my understanding, is to how do you mix and match? How do you choose the proper ingredients to make a good car? But I would like to push you even further. Will there come a day when people can actually, I don't know, cook their own ingredients and get the car that they want? Because I see car manufacturers, and Hyundai here are very successful at that, flood the market with all kind of segments and segments on top of segments, and then all kind of niches inside those. Will there come a day when people can come to you and say, I'd like a car that has this, and that, and you can build it for me?
I mean, we talked about Slate earlier. That's what Slate are doing already. So in the pickup truck space, they're already doing that. So they're giving you what you need as a car.
Okay.
And then what you want as a car, you add to it. So I think in that segment, I expect that they're going to be very transformational. Okay. I think in our segment,
do you think the Slate model is going to be adopted by more car manufacturers?
I think people will buy more affordable cars that are lighter versus more expensive cars that are heavier. Right? I really firmly believe that a lot of the features and benefits and functionality that people are pushing in their products go way beyond, but they don't give customers a choice, right? So if you're sat there configuring a car and you're like, do I want electric windows or do I not want electric windows and save myself $2,000? I'll save myself $2,000 because I'm, and then some people, they'll want it, right? So I actually think the choice of what's in your car is going to become very critical. And I think being able to build profitable cars with a very low spec is going to be the new, the Chinese manufacturers are very good at building unprofitable cars with very high specs.
Yes.
The future is not unprofitable cars, right? So to become profitable, you have to take things out if you want to make more money, because putting things in costs you money. So if the only way to get profit at the same price point is to remove things from the car, right?
Very interesting.
Right. So all the features that they have in Chinese cars, if you remove all those features, they probably got 10% extra margin that they could pass on. But they're not doing that because there's this weaponization of features that people never ask for.
And those companies are not profitable. They're just fighting against each other. Most of them die.
Yeah. And we want to go the other way. So we want to make cars that are very light, we bring to market very quickly, that are highly profitable, right? And because we're not competing in mobility, we're competing in that 10% of petrolheads, people who love cars.
Okay.
But to answer your question specifically, we've designed this as a platform that other manufacturers can use.
Okay.
And actually, we would love a point where someone comes to us and says, I want to build 10 cars, and they don't have to make the same investment we've done. They just need to design the exterior and put it on and they get their own car. Right? I think there's that's car culture for me,
Exactly. It's car culture. So again, do you think car manufacturers are going to go this way and give their customers the choice, such enormous choice, because it's too much choice? Now you can get a Toyota Camry with free trims, and that's it. Do you think that major manufacturers will be be able to offer cars that you can actually customize the way you're telling me, the way Slate is doing.
I think a Leopard can't change its stripes. So I think existing manufacturers will not ever be able to do that, because that's not how they operate. If you think about the way a traditional car manufacturer vehicle program works, it could never do what you said, because everything in the company is not designed to do that, right? Those companies are designed to give you a la carte. You know, they're designed to give you this as a curated product, because their margins, their profit margins, everything's baked off of the spreadsheets of those cars.
Okay.
But I think new manufacturers like Slate will come in and take that space. I really do.
Not even Tesla?
I mean, Tesla's exactly what you said, right? You can have any color you want as long as it's white and it's Model 3 standard performance.
Yeah.
Like Tesla very much is, you know, in that super volume, very curated. And I think to a degree we are. I think our base product is always going to be curated, because we've learned that from Tesla. But that shouldn't mean that your customers can't do more to your car, right? So we want to help support, that not necessarily retro modding, but customers who have their own idiosyncrasies. They've got their own flair, their own flavor, right? Yeah.
Have you seen the new Model Y standard with the glass roof, but it's got a trim on the inside, so you're not able to see the sky anymore?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I saw that. Yeah, they decontented it and they put a trimming.
But it's still glass.
But that's Elon playing trickery, right? What Elon's trying to do there is tell the market he's made a more affordable car.
Yeah.
And then
do no more light
to stop customers from buying it. That's a very Elon trick, right? He's done that before.
So he's showing a cheaper car to push you into buying the more expensive one.
He's showing a cheaper car so the markets say, look, Tesla's got a cheaper car, and they respond, whilst at the same time never ever delivering it to customers. Versus,
but it's up for sale.
But instead of trying to build a cheaper car, because Elon fundamentally doesn't believe in that, you see the robo-taxi's got 2 seats, it's not cheaper. He doesn't believe that there's because he's a billionaire, right? He doesn't know what problems people have day to day. He thinks $40,000 for a car is cheap. It's not. So Tesla has made no effort to building a cheap car.
He's been promising the $25,000 car for 10 years now.
Yeah, he's been promising a Roadster since 2020 as well. So
yeah,
the Tesla are incredibly successful at the volume space they play in premium automotive, and I think that's where they should continue. And they're making a good positioning now for autonomy, based on vision. So I think their product strategy is good. I think sometimes the problem for companies can be when they try and do things that isn't their core. You know, if I'm a executive saloon crossover company and I do pickup trucks or I do, micro cars, I'm in unfamiliar territory.
Really?
So I actually think some of the issues maybe from German manufacturers is where they, Mercedes used to do a C, an E, an S, and they do a GL. And now you've got every letter, every segment,
exactly,
every price point. But you're maybe getting away from your core. So I think, again, my view, you should consolidate, focus on your core, and new manufacturers coming in like Slate that have a very clear, simple product vision are going to be able to compete,
So Tesla is now the incumbent, is no longer the challenger.
I mean, I think Tesla's been the incumbent since they delivered the Model 3. I think Model 3 has been the reference vehicle for, Model S, I think have been the reference vehicle for electric vehicles. But you see now where China are. And, I think one of the challenges Tesla faced is that they've been pushing a commoditized product. They haven't been pushing a brand. They haven't been pushing an experience. They've been pushing features and benefits and price. And Tesla can't compete with the Chinese on features, benefits, and price.
But they can industrialize just as well. They can push out cars very fast from the assembly line.
Exactly. So I think automation, bill of materials, and cost point, I think Tesla can compete. But what Tesla needs to do is move its brand up, because then it can deliver at a higher price point and have more margin. Because I think the Chinese will always be able to deliver cars at a lower price point. And so the only way Tesla can achieve the same margins is by elevating their brand positioning, half a point or a point north, because that allows you to charge more money, right?
So you're actually telling me Tesla is the new BMW or Mercedes?
It needs to be to make money.
It needs to be.
Yeah, it needs to be. Because, BMW and Mercedes have been building cars that are not as good as Tesla for 10 years and commanding a higher price point.
Have you seen the new iX3?
No.
The BMW?
I haven't seen it.
trees. Well, you need to take a good look at it, and you're actually right. But you'll understand after you see it.
Okay.
It's a nice car, but it doesn't feel brand new.
Yeah.
So no chance for a Model 2 in the Tesla lineup.
I don't think so, because I think you would need pressure from the board. I think Tesla's bet now is on autonomy. So I don't think
And the robots.
I think Tesla should do a Model 2. I think they should refresh the Model 3. They should refresh the Model Y. Tesla is a car company. They make their money building cars, and they need to.
Not robots.
And they need to. That may be in the future, but today, in 2026, Tesla's a car company. So I think that's where I would focus.
So looking forward, again, you're talking about customizable cars, platforms that you can customize, take features out to make a car more affordable, because cars are crazy expensive now.
Yeah.
I can remember the good old days when the Volkswagen Golf was under 20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it full spec, under 20,000. No longer the case. So the future is taking features out that you don't actually need.
Yeah, I think from the beginning, just considering what does my customer need, right? What should they want?
They commute. They sit like this in a car jam. They just want to listen to some music, have some climate control, a nice ambient, and that's it.
Yeah, but give them a choice, right? If you package automatic doors as standard, but you're charging an extra $3,000 for automatic doors, give your customer a choice, because it's easier to build cars without automatic doors. It's lighter, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So when you add all these features, it's more costly. You've got a bigger supply chain, you've got a longer engineering process. So I think, I think customers are sophisticated, but I also think customers, as soon as someone comes along and offers a decontented vehicle like Slay have done, I think that's where your customers move to, because that's what they actually need and that's what they want. But no one's offering it to them. Yeah.
I feel like you're preaching to the choir when you're talking about the EVs being much better than petrol cars.
Yeah.
But we're here at the Donut Lab booth, and they've been showing solid-state batteries. So everybody's saying, I'm not switching to an EV because of the range and the cost. So will solid-state batteries change all this? Do you feel it's a real possibility?
If you have walls around a city and people are trying to get in, if you make the walls higher, people will buy a longer ladder, right? So I think the issue is not range. We've had enough range for the last 10 years, right?
I agree.
Charging speed is not the issue. We've had enough charging speed for the last 10 years. Perception is the problem. So you're not solving a technology. It is cheaper to run most EVs than it is to run ICEs when you look at cost of ownership. Yeah, including fuel expenditure, including service and maintenance.
Cost per kilometer is lower.
It's pretty much lower, right? There's I think where this studies once says like a $40,000 EV is the same as like a $25,000 ICE when you look at 5-year ownership costs, right?
I've done the math, and it's roughly below 40 cents per kilometer.
Exactly. So so for us, as an £85,000 sports car is the equivalent cost of ownership of a £65,000 sports car, because sports cars use more electricity, use more fuel. They have a higher service and maintenance cost. So I don't think there is a problem, and I've never seen a problem with range with cars. The problem is perception. So whatever.
Okay, so let's solve perception. Do you think solid-state batteries will actually change perception?
So I don't think. What I would like to see from solid-state batteries is lower price and lower weight.
It's cheaper.
No, exactly. But if you've got a battery that is 20 kilograms and it costs $20 and it does 100 miles, right? If it's half the price, I wouldn't want to see a car that costs 20, and it's got twice the range. I'd rather see the right battery. So I think people do not need more range. What people need is lighter cars that are cheaper. So
lighter cars that are cheaper.
Correct.
Not bigger batteries.
Correct. Yeah, you don't need bigger batteries. You
don't need 100 kilowatt hour battery packs.
I mean, I worked at Lucid, and you have a conversation with people on range, right? And what's the range? Well, you do 1,500 kilometers, and you have to stop for 45 minutes. Is that enough? Yes, it's enough. Okay, good. All right, so I think when people, and the problem is most people don't drive EV and it's new. And again, I've been in EVs for 15 years. Before there were, with Tesla, when no one knew about Tesla, when there's no charging infrastructure. Okay, I had range anxiety in a Tesla Roadster, trust me. Back in 2010, I had range anxiety.
I've seen the first prototype with the small trailer behind it.
Yeah.
In Peterson Museum, so that was a fun one.
Yeah, but range today, range is not a problem, right? The perception, because people are used to an ICE, so anything that's not an ICE is terrifying because it's change. The challenge with a lot of messaging is that you help reinforce that. So range extenders, right? So EVs. Okay, well, it's like an EV, but it's not. But range isn't the problem.
Or hybrids. Crazy.
What you're doing is you're not giving people what they need. You're giving people what you want them to buy to make money. So to solve range anxiety, you need to be able to effectively communicate and help educate people on what it's like to own an EV. Or you need to focus on the charging experience. I don't think, because if you've got 1,000 kilometer range, then someone's going to say, well, I need 1,200, right? You got 1,200 kilometer range. Well, once every 5 years, I drive to my friends in the north of Sweden. I need 1,500 kilometer range, right?
And I never stop.
And when I stop, I need to charge in 3 minutes, right? Because, yes. But I literally had a lucid where I was driving back from Germany to Holland. And we stopped off. I grabbed a Starbucks and I put it in Ionity and it was charging at 210 kilowatts. And literally, I got back and I added like 400 kilometers range in 10 minutes. Like you don't need more range. What you need to do is change people's perception of it. You need to address the psychology, right?
Yeah. We've been trying to do that for the past 15 years, like you say. Why isn't it changing? Why are people still buying plug-in hybrids, which are worse, instead of a pure EV?
I mean, if I'm Mercedes, right, what do? Do I invest all of my money in R&D to compete? Or am my board going to ask to take all that money as dividends and then wait another 10 years until the company's bankrupt or the company's dead? I think all companies have a life cycle. Most European and US car manufacturers are in the sunset period of their life cycle. And what you're supposed to do in the sunset period of life cycle is to pay dividends to your shareholders, not reinvest in innovation. So if you look at all the actions that European and North American manufacturers are doing, they are moving back on their EV commitments. They're moving back on their R&D investments.
Yes.
And they're paying out dividends, right?
And so paying up dividends.
It is not in their interest, and they're trying to squeeze as much value out of their existing technologies as they can. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So it helps them to keep the EVs are not ready narrative in the market, because that helps sell the products they have today, right?
That narrative is actually working because they just managed to convince the EU Commission, to push the 2035 limit for ICE cars.
VW have had record profits for like the last 4 or 5 years running, and they've somehow convinced the European Union to give them money and to subsidize the transition to electric vehicles. It's crazy. Can you imagine that? We've decided not to invest in electric vehicles, German government. We now need you to do it now. Oh, and by the way, we need you to change the mandate back so we can pay more profits to our shareholders. That's what's happening.
While fighting with the unions.
Yeah, exactly. So
how does it
fighting with unions? Because they're downsizing their staff, they're downsizing their factories, so they have higher profits. So they can pay out more profits. Like, trust me, all those companies are in the sunset period of their lives, and they won't be here in 10 years' time. And they don't have any intention of being here in 10 years' time. Otherwise, they would double down now. They would invest, they would diverse, they would completely reorganize and restructure their companies, but they're not. They're saying, EV's not ready, you need to buy an IC, right? Sorry, we're getting into me ranting about the automotive industry, but
you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Trust me, I understand all that, but it's hard to explain all that to my audience, because there's people out there on the sidelines thinking, I don't know if I'm ready for an EV. I don't know if EVs are going to be here in the next 5 to 10 years. I got range anxiety, or maybe I'll buy a car that turns into a brick like the Fisker. So there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
People hate uncertainty, and unfortunately, a petrol car looks certain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I've been in electric vehicles now 15 years. Every single year in those 15 years, more EVs have been sold, and they're getting better and cheaper. every single, like without fail, every single year more EVs are sold, and every single year they're getting better and cheaper.
No matter what we think about them.
So whatever the perception is, every single year in pretty much every single country, even quarter on quarter growth, every year more EVs are sold, and every year they're getting better and cheaper. So if you follow that through, right, it's not all of a sudden next year, okay, well, this is the year where no one buys EVs and they get more expensive, right? It's such an early technology.
It's still early? Is it early? It's a century-old technology.
But the development has only really been going in for 10 years, right? 15 years.
So what's actually happening? What are the shifts that you see happening that are actually accelerating all this? Is it chemistry in the batteries? Is it motors? What's actually driving the acceleration of this technology? Because people think that EVs are just out there for the past 10 years, but they're actually moving very fast, much faster than combustion.
Just competition, right? I mean, it is the most intense, like, competitive part of the automotive industry. No one's competing on turbos, right? No one's out there
Besides Porsche.
right? But no one. Yeah, you're right.
They improved the latest turbo GT3.
You're right. But in general, where's all the money going? In universities? Where's the money going in tier one suppliers? In generally across automotive manufacturers is in competing electric vehicles. So if that's at the research stage, if it's at the scaling stage, if it's at the optimization stage, the amount of money and effort and time that's going into improving every single component in EV is what's driving that change, right? Because everyone is trying to build a lighter, cheaper, have more margin and have better supplies. And at the same time, there's new motor suppliers, new battery suppliers, and new inverter suppliers. So there's a grassroots, bottoms-up movement of really new, innovative technology, and there's a higher level movement of driving scale, reducing cost, improving, material use. So those two things combined means you've got new challenger technologies and mature technologies and a huge feedback loop into it, right? That's what's driving this. But the same is not happening on the ICE side, right? You had the whole compliance vehicles coming in around emission standards. But,
Euro 7.
right? You're saying...
Whoever, I don't know what that is, but we're getting Euro 7.
Yeah.
Maybe Euro 8.
Yeah, at this rate, it'll be Euro 12, and then all the car manufacturers are bankrupt, right? So I think...
But what's the actual game changer again? Is it chemistry? Is it motors? Is it... what's actually going to drive the actual change?
I think combination of those. So I think, genuinely, if you look at batteries, they are getting better and cheaper. You have some leaps that take you there, but they're getting better, cheaper, and lighter. And that's a big cost component. Motors are getting better, cheaper, and lighter, and inverters, everything around it. Don't expect a revolution, but there's so much research and innovation going in. You have continuous evolution.
Okay.
So every single year, the technology is getting better and cheaper and lighter. So it's a predictable curve that's taking you to an endpoint where the EVs are much cheaper, much lighter, much better.
I'm hearing about sodium batteries and much less rare earths. The donut guys also are saying that their batteries have almost no rare earths. It's abundant. They don't talk about their chemistry actually. They say it's abundant. So will there be a bottleneck because people are expecting that we're going to be running out of lithium? Now we don't. There's a lot of it. When we search for lithium, we find more than we need. So lithium, we got it. It's a solved problem. Is there another bottleneck I should be cautious about?
I mean, it's for-profit industry, right? So if humans are adapt, evolve, and overcome. So if I can make money on a thing and people want a thing from me,
okay,
right, I'll find a way of delivering that to people. And if the constraint, you just have to trust in a free market on that, right? If the constraint over here is X, maybe that kills that supplier, but over here it helps another supplier or another technology mature. So there are so many different battery technologies at various stages of development, from, tiny research grade in universities through to mass production. That
graphene.
Yeah, but there's so many, the interesting thing is that there's no silver bullet, because what you need from a battery is different. What you need from a solid state from a battery for solar storage, you said you have solar, yeah. So a solar storage battery is very different from the battery you have in here.
Yeah, sodium is enough.
Yeah, right. And the battery you have in a sports car is different from the battery you need in a truck or in a bus, right? So there's no silver bullet because the physics and the chemistry means you have to, there's no silver bullet on an ICE engine, right? Because you build the engine depending on what the use case is for the vehicle. The same's true for motors, less motors. The same's true for batteries. Is depending on your use case. If you're not weight sensitive, you're price sensitive or your energy density sensitive, that's where you view it as that there will be multiple chemistries and form factors because there's loads of different use cases for batteries, right?
So, do you think the Chinese industry is going to be able to compete in such a way? Because you're talking about free market, open market. The Chinese are fighting, like you said, in features and features and features, trying, I don't know, to kill the European industry or the American industry. Who is actually going to win this challenge? You've been talking about Slate, but help me understand, if I wanted to build a pure car company now for the future, what should I look at? Is it customization? Is it chemistry? Is it, I don't know. Where should I start from?
I always think you have to start with the customer. You with all this because
But the customer is also changing. The new generation doesn't want to drive anymore. They're not getting driver's licenses.
But that immediately should then inform your product strategy, right? So if you know that, either can you entice them to driving? Is there a product that would entice them to driving? Or are there other segments you should be focusing on because that segment's dropping away? So it starts with your customer and their behaviors, and not where they are now, but where they're going to be over the next 5-10 years. But I think, you talk about the Chinese, we live in a global market, right? And I think any form of, again, I'm a firm believer in free trade, any form of barriers that come in inhibit a free market and hurt everyone. Now, on the flip side, any subsidized industry, you need to find a way of solving for that, right? That's kind of Keynesian economics. But for me, what I would love to see is what's China very good at? They're very good at quickly developing and building very high quality electric vehicles.
Okay.
What are European manufacturers very good at? A customer experience, having a really good brand and curating those vehicles. I would love to see European manufacturers, and you're already seeing a little bit, right? Audi launched their Wordmark brand in China, which is an Audi sub-brand that's fully built in China, right? So what I'd love to see is welcome in the Chinese technology into Europe, right? Mercedes shouldn't be going to Conti and Bosch and, Magna for building their cars and developing their cars.
Like Fisker did.
They shouldn't, because because then you're building the cars of yesterday. They should be looking and leveraging and partnering with the Chinese to integrate those technologies and to manufacture in Europe. The only way you can be competitive is not by putting up a wall, but by bringing those technologies in and creating a market. And that's all the Chinese manufacturers want, is they want the ability to compete in Europe. But they don't have to compete as Mercedes. They can compete as a white label provider. And I think that is maybe the only way to save European and North American automotive.
Like a tailor with Chinese fabric.
Exactly.
European tailors, Chinese fabric.
I think that is the best analogy. Yeah, exactly that.
But the Chinese are also trying to tailor themselves, and we've seen some interesting cars coming from China.
And they'll compete, right? But they'll compete on price, not on brand. So because
They also compete on performance. Have you seen the Yangwang U9 and U8?
They're great, but again, but those are commoditized products, because.
But they're superlatives.
But Europeans are very good at, because an Audi is not a VW, a Porsche is not a VW, right? A Bentley is not a VW, but it is. So a Chinese can come in and take that segment, and they could take the segment maybe where Seat sit, and they can maybe move up into the mid-range segment, and other manufacturers can compete on brand, right? Like, there is no world where there's one car manufacturer, because it's taste, right? There's so many things that make you buy a car. Like, the Chinese won't come in and take 100% of the market. But if you want to compete, then you need to, integrate. Is my view. Is utilizing and integrating those technologies and those advantages into your own comfort.
It's my opinion that if the Chinese will win over the Europeans, they will eventually implode, because they are good at innovating and pivoting from what they actually see. I don't see real inventions coming from there.
From China?
From China. I see them adapting, innovating on what they see, making it cheaper, making it a little bit better. They're not totally different. I haven't seen something that blows my mind in the that's brand new that I haven't seen before. I've seen specs. I've driven the young ones that go amphibious. They go sideways. They go, I don't know, do all kind of crazy things. But it's not brand new, and they're also very heavy cars.
But again, there are capabilities. If I think about China and I think about what do they compete in, I think it's not necessarily building the most innovative tech, but scaling it.
Okay.
So technology in Europe that's still in research phase, that's generation 7. China is mass producing generation 6, right?
Yeah.
So China is able to very quickly scale up production of components, and Chinese car manufacturers integrate better than anyone I've ever seen.
Okay.
So their ability to integrate components quickly, especially in a software-defined vehicle world, and deliver a very high-quality product that's fully integrated and designed, is 2 or 3 times the speed of European manufacturers. And the phrase in China now is, the fast fish eats the slow fish, right? It's not the big fish eats the small fish.
Yes.
And so what European manufacturers don't have, they are focused on being big fishes, but they're going to get gobbled up by the fast fish, right? So they need to have speed to deliver those
eat
products.
big fish.
The fast fish eats the slow fish.
And the big fish.
Well, no, yeah, exactly, yeah.
The
All
fast
fishes, everyone else.
Everyone else.
Right.
The first fish, it's everyone else.
Exactly, so it's that speed, and it's something we focused on is the speed of integration. So this car was built in 6 months because we threw out the OEM rulebook. We're going to production in 18 months by throwing out the OEM rulebook. So speed and velocity is how you compete. Because, Porsche will put a Boxster on the road in 2031, and if we're delivering 3,000 cars here by 2031, then we're the reference vehicle, not them. So, speed is the way you win nowadays, right? And there's going to be so much evolution and change in the automotive industry. You can't rely on existing moats. You can't rely on existing walls. You have to be quick. And that's what the Chinese do very well.
So no hate for the Europeans. This is an European car.
Yeah.
This is a European brand.
It is, yeah.
Solid state battery made in Europe.
So Donut Labs solid state batteries made in Europe. We haven't announced the battery in our car, but yeah, Donut Labs solid state batteries built in Finland.
The Verge motorcycles made in Estonia.
Yeah.
So European tech.
100%.
100%.
But if you want to, we want to transform and keep Europe at the front of innovation in automotive. And to do that, you have to recognize the dinosaurs that got us there are not at the front anymore, right? And they're not doing things the right way.
Okay.
So if we copy Mercedes, sure, that works in like the 1920s, but it's not. It's 2020.
Okay.
So we're here to win.
But Daniel, be honest. And answer very quickly. What are you driving?
So I have a family, and we do a lot of long distance driving. So I have an E-Class station wagon plug-in hybrid. Yeah. That's my car. Because I've got a charging space for this guy when it comes out. But yeah, my family car, I'm super pragmatic. Yeah. But my kids every day hate the fact that I'm not driving EV as my family car. Yeah.
But that's a nice car. The T model and also the A6 is nice. It's Diamant.
Again, that car's for mobility, right? For that 60%, that's the car. This is going to be for the 10%.
Okay.
When I want to go out and drive. Yeah.
I took a lot of your time. You've been so generous with everything you've shared.
So great to speak to you, actually. Yeah, really interesting. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So it's been very inspirational. I got a lot from you. I really wish you the best. I understand you're sold out into 2028.
Yeah, we're still taking reservations, but we are sold out till 2028. Yeah.
I would definitely put in one for my old sake.
You heard that. So if he's not putting in a reservation, then
I would. I see the future in cars that wheels are being driven on their own, and you can program them to do crazy things.
100%.
So, yeah, I can be a spectator or I can be a pilot inside one of these. You can program him to do anything.
I feel like you're in that 10% of drivers. You are a driver.
Let's wrap it up. So again, Daniel, thank you for your time.
Such a pleasure. Thank you very much.
The Longbow, longbowmotors.com. Take a look online. This has been a very interesting conversation with one of the EV industry veterans, actually. We've got a lot from that, but I'm curious to know more about you guys in the comment section. Has this conversation changed your perspective? Where are you going to buy next? So let's continue the chat underneath. So like, share, and subscribe. and we'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.